Hi everybody, welcome to week 1 of our summer drawing course. I hope you enjoy it. Get your pencils ready, let's go.
So, this is the drawing notes that you're gonna get today. I'm gonna share this link with you. So the Zoom password's always at the top. Oh, little spelling mistake there. Contents for today. So week 1 we're going to be building on construction of using basic shapes using man-made objects. Week 2 we're going to do animals and insects.
Oh,
So how
cool.
to build animals and insects from constructing basic shapes. Week
Awesome.
3 is going to be really fun. Week 3 is we are going to draw using negative space shapes. And this is going to be really useful to how to place your subject matter within a frame for dramatic visual experience. So how to use the negative space to add drama to your image and make it look as awesome as it can. So I've got some really neat, interesting techniques to use using negative space. And I think this week in particular, you'll find really, really good. So depending on how much we get through on the negative space shapes week 3, because I've got a lot to give you on week 3. Week 4, we're going to do florals. I think it was Jane or Chris that asked for florals. I can't remember. One of you.
I can't remember.
Can't remember. But anyway, and again, so this whole course is going to be about using shapes to build images. So I'm basically going to give you like a code, like a formula to build any subject matter using shapes. And that's what we're going to start with today. So I think you'll find this a really useful tool. And I think once we train our brains into this kind of building images through shapes, then I think you'll find it's a really great formula and should give us all a lot more confidence. So I've just put here on the introduction, you don't need to have completed the previous 3 courses, but it would be useful. But I've also put in an annex with all of the notes from the previous courses. So you can always refer to the annex. So because we've all been together before, I won't bother going through all the pencils and ink technique and the shading techniques, but all of that's there in the annex if you need to refer back to it. And then I've just recommended that you put everything in a sketchbook. So, constructing objects using basic shapes. I will not be making you draw a motorcycle today, but I am using this as an example. So, looking at something fairly complicated to begin with, we could find this quite overwhelming, especially because we're trying to ascertain where the vanishing points are. So even without looking at light and shadow, it can be a little bit intimidating at first. But I want you to see there's actually a cuboid right here. So if we look at the bottom of the where the tires are and draw an invisible line here and then draw a line along the top, we'll notice that the vanishing point is going way off on the right hand side of the screen here. So we'll know that this tire is going to be larger than this tire. So we can actually draw this as a cuboid and erase it later. So we can make this into a cuboid. And then if you think about this as an oval shape, just this whole, so I would start with, whenever I attempt something complicated like this, start with making it into 2 or 3 basic shapes. Then we'll start adding the other shapes on top. So if I was to draw on top of this, I would put my vanishing points here. Then I would make this into an oval shape, and then I would be adding in the extra shapes on top. And then I'll just keep layering shapes until I get the object. But if you keep layering shapes on top of each other, eventually we'll get the motorcycle. So it's kind of easy to kind of dive in and think, oh right, I'm going to start with this wheel and do all this detail. But to get the perspective correct, think of it as, how can I make this into one of my basic shapes? And I would make this start with into a cuboid. So put my vanishing lines in and make this into a cuboid. Now, I've got 3 exercises for us to do today, and we're going to deconstruct images exactly this way. So I wanted to show you the most complicated one first, then I'm going to show you the most easy one first, and then we're going to do 3 medium complexity objects. So first thing I wanted to show you is this Pepsi can. So the easiest way to look at this Pepsi can is we could look at it as a cylinder, which it is, the top part, but we've got these kind of interesting angles at the top too. So one way to do it is to actually just do a cuboid and then a trapezoid at the top. So that's the triangle with the top. Teachers in the room, am I using the right technical shape?
Trapezoid.
Trapezoid. It's a trapezoid.
Yeah, because it goes. Yes, it goes.
Is that correct? Trapezoid.
It's a trapezoid.
A triangle
yes,
with the top topped off. Yeah, like a okay, great.
Absolutely, trapezoid.
Because I was doubting myself this morning, going, did I use the right shape name?
Trapezoid. Grade 3 math, we did it a lot.
And you know what? It's funny because English people, you know, we say things slightly different. We go trapezoid because we try and make our words a little bit. We stretch them out a little bit longer. Aluminium.
Right.
So anyway, so that's just showing how we can basically use 3 shapes to break down this soda can. So simple so far, right? So what we're going to do today, just for a bit of fun, is we're going to draw a piece of toast, an ice lolly, and a bookshelf. So I'm starting easy, medium, a little bit more complicated. When we do the bookshelf, I want us to do at least 3 of the objects within the bookshelf in perspective. I have videoed myself drawing these, and I'm going to play you a video in a minute of how I did it. So, and I'm going to add these videos to the notes, so you can click and watch like a time lapse of me doing it. So, any questions so far? Is this making you hungry? Nice piece of toast. I don't eat bread anymore, and I'm just really craving a piece of toast now. Lots of butter on the top. And okay, you could make this more complicated by adding a topping on your toast, but the topping has to be in perspective. So we're just doing it without the topping right now. Okay. So one thing I would like you to do, so we're gonna start drawing pretty soon, but I have got my iPad, which I'm gonna put underneath the camera so you can see the video of how I put this together. But I want you to have a quick look at this and identify which shapes you would use stacked on top of each other to create this piece of toast. I'd also like you to tell me where the vanishing point is and where the light source is. So let's discuss. First of all, where is the vanishing point for this piece of toast? Or the vanishing points, this piece of toast. So you can describe up, down, left, right.
That's weird because I've never had to find a vanishing point on
a piece of toast before. I'll give you a clue. The vanishing point will be off the screen. They will. You will not be able to see where the lines merge. They'll be off the screen.
Far right towards the bottom.
On anything that's not in landscape or something. So I never thought of objects having vanishing points.
Everything has vanishing points. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually make this a little bit easier. I'm going to switch cameras and show you this image on my iPad with some vanishing points.
Nice.
Okay, so red lines are the vanishing points. So I'm going to take away the shapes And I'm going to show you the vanishing points. So these are the vanishing points for the piece of toast. So you can see this is 3-point perspective. So 3-point perspectives when we're using the top perspective. So the top of the vanishing point will be like way up here. Where this meets will be down here. And this one's going like way off. So we've got this point here and this point here going into points, and then it's going to get wider here and wider there. So that's as far as vanishing point is concerned. The next thing, I've already given you a sneak preview. Can you identify how many shapes we would use to create this image and where we would put them? And the shapes, we'll draw the entire shape and then we'll delete part of the shape. So
Where?
4.
so yeah, so
Square?
there's
So the
4.
rectangle crust.
Yeah, so the crust is a rectangle, yeah.
Okay.
The bite out is a circle.
Circle, yeah, or an oval, yeah.
Right, and same with up in the top corner. That would be a circle, and we can erase it, and then a teeny bit on that one, I guess, would be a circle.
Yeah, and then you've got another rectangle here.
Rectangle, yeah.
Yeah, and if you want to be really pedantic about it, there's actually curves here, which would be little circles.
Ooh.
Yeah. So if so we're thinking about shape stacking. So
and the biggest one is actually a trapezoid as opposed to a rectangle because of the angle of the sides going inwards. The big piece of toast.
Absolutely.
It's a trapezoid because of the
is.
two going inward because they're not perpendicular lines.
Absolutely. So let's start by thinking about these as the first of all 2-dimensional shapes stacked on top of each other. Okay, so we've got our rectangle here. Yes, you're right, we've got the trapezoid and we've got the 3 circles. So I'm going to add another layer now. And I'm going to choose a slightly different color. Let's do pink. I like pink. Okay, so now I'm going to think about 3-dimensional shapes. So we've already got the, let's make this trapezoid 3-dimensional. So right now I'm just stuck in shapes. So, okay, so there's our 3-dimensional trapezoid. This is circle. We're actually going to make into a cylinder that's been sliced through, because we can't make it a sphere because a sphere doesn't have any sides to it. The sliced through cylinder does have sides. So this is where this part comes in. You know, we have, so it's like a cylinder that we can see through. And then if it was to have another side to it, it would be there. So can you see that this is how we make a 3-dimensional, but we're actually going to erase this part. And then we've just got this part. But it's actually a cylinder. So now we've got the cylinder and the trapezoid, 3-dimensional trapezoid. Same as here. This circle here is actually a cylinder. So we're seeing the edge of the cylinder here.
Right.
And then here, again, we're seeing the edge of it. So next thing I wanted to ask was, where is my light source? There you go. I'm going to show that now.
Is it to the left? My left? Yeah,
it's difficult because toast's actually naturally brown at the edges anyway. So it's a little bit more tricky. But where would you say the light source is coming from?
The left?
Yeah, kind of here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say so. Because we've got this side is in shadow. This side is in shadow. I mean, it's kind of a little bit debatable. This was probably taken in a light box, so there probably wouldn't be any definite shadow. But we can put the shadows in for dramatic effect, you know? And we
So
could always make...
this may be a silly question, but when I first saw the piece of toast, my thought was it was a square with a cylinder.
Yeah.
So where did I go wrong there?
Well,
Because it does look like a rectangle to me.
yeah. It's just it is a rectangle. It's just because of the vanishing points. I mean, we're saying trapezoid because it's naturally a trapezoid because of the vanishing point. So you could say that when we did the street scene or any of the drawings we did last term, they are in fact, instead of being cubes, they are trapezoids. But let's just call it a cube. It's a cube that the sides are getting further away because so it looks like a trapezoid, but let's just call it a cube. Yeah.
Okay, because the sides are going further away. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I want you to draw this because I want you to have all of these in your notes. So I know it sounds a little bit boring drawing a piece of toast, but I would like you to draw the piece of toast. And in your own time, I'd like you to do this is for homework, I'd like you to do a soda can from different angles. So remember we did the horizon line and we did the squares kind of looking up, looking straight on, looking above and looking below. I would like you to do for homework a soda can from different, your eye level is different levels, and see how the shapes that you stack change as you look from different eye levels. But for now, we're going to have a go at practicing this together just quickly. I've got quite a few exercises I want to get through, but this is more just this exercise is just creating a little bit of a warm-up exercise, should we call it. Okay, so I'm gonna put in this light enough? Yeah, it's a little bit better. So I'm gonna put in my guidelines. I actually have a red pencil today I'm gonna use for my guidelines. So this is almost straight, not quite. So you don't have to do this red. I'm just doing it red so you can see it. So the only a vertical line is this side of the toast, basically. Not quite vertical, but almost vertical. And I'm going to use a 3B today just so you can see it. I recommend you use a 2B. We're all going to want a piece of toast when we've done this. So the vertical lines are the sides of the bite, which will be the sides of our cylinder. What I'm going to do, because I don't want to make this too easy for you, I'm actually going to take off my guides and just give you the piece of toast to look at. I was making it too easy for you. So don't forget, even this line is slightly going to pinch in this way. So we're going to imagine that don't think of this as a bite. Think of this as
Oh, excuse me.
think of this as a cylinder. Think of this one as a cylinder, and then this one. So look for the straight lines. There's a straight line here. Next time you eat a piece of toast, you'll have a new appreciation for it. Okay, interestingly, where the lines are, where where it was grilled, they will also go to the same vanishing point. So if you imagine that your vanishing point is over here, those grill lines. So make sure you don't do the lines straight. They'll also be slightly at an angle. We're just gonna do a quick drawing. But the reason why I want to do this is because we can look at an object and think that's a square, because our brain thinks that's a square. But when you start thinking about the shapes, we start thinking about this in a different way. So if you think, if you think like this is a cylinder. So all of our edges of our toast and our bites are basically going to be a transparent cylinder. Just like that. And I promise you, this exercise is going to really help us when we start doing the animals next week. If you wanted to go into realism, you can start thinking about what shading techniques you would use to create the crumbly effect.
Scumbling.
Scumbling, yeah.
The bite marks are kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. There's always like little, kind of like little circles. So this is something I do with Dean if we go to a restaurant. We always take a sketchbook and I get him to draw what he can see. And then we have a little competition. Well, and it's a great way to pass the time while we're waiting for our food. And it really gets him to look at objects in more detail, you know. You can put like loads of fine detail into this in your own time and make it more lifelike. But I just want us to focus on the shapes for now. Let me know when you're bored of toast and you want to look at a nice lolly.
Yeah.
It's more shapes rather than shading today.
Yeah.
But if you fancy finishing this for next class, that would be great.
I think it's really fascinating. I never would have thought of starting with shapes to draw a simple object. So this is a great discovery.
Yeah, yeah, it is really fun. Okay, let's move on. So the next thing I'm going to show you is, I'm going to take away my clues here, is an ice cream. So have a look at this ice cream. And I want you to think about, let's start with guidelines and vanishing points. So where would be, there aren't really any direct vertical lines. We've got quite a few vanishing points here. So where would you say is the first vanishing point for the ice cream?
Well, one is going off the page to the left, like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Yeah.
That way.
And then oh, these lines are actually converging here too. And then these lines are converging here. So we got quite a few interesting convergences here. So I will reveal the lines. So I kind of made these pretty vertical just for simplicity, but these are actually going slightly this way, but it's so slight, I wouldn't worry about it right now. But you can definitely see the ones on the left, a bit like the street scene. So this is very similar to when we drew the street with the streets going either side, and this is a corner of the building. Do you remember that last time? So very,
Yes.
very similar there. So now interesting. So I would like you to think about what shapes we would use to create this object, how we would stack shapes. So what basic shapes would you use? So you've got sphere, cylinder, cube, cuboid, and cone.
Well, I know this is probably wrong, but 2D rectangle with a semicircle.
Yep.
At
So
the
we've
top.
got, yeah, you're right. So a cuboid. So a
Cube.
three-dimensional rectangle is a cuboid. Sorry, I've just got two little boys who need my attention for a second. Yeah.
Okay.
Can we do the drawing?
Would you like to
session?
draw with me?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So why don't you? I've set you up with two workstations there. You just need to get Peter some paper. We've got two people joining us.
Yay.
um. So we're gonna draw an ice cream. So yeah, and then interestingly, I'm gonna bring in the shapes now. Can you see all the shapes?
Yeah.
So at the moment I've just put in the cylinders as two-dimensional cylinders, but I'm actually going to add in the how to make. I'm just going to work out how the boys can see because all my cameras are facing this way. So yeah, so you see how this is like a slice through cylinder. So imagine this is a cylinder. This is a cylinder. This is a rectangle with two cylinders on the end. That's what makes the curves. And then this part is actually a cylinder. So it's quite neat when you start breaking things down into simple shapes, how straightforward that is. So I'm going to get the boys set up with the workstations. I'm going to delete the cheat layers for you because I want you to figure this out yourself. I'm going to let you see the ice cream and I want you to have a go at sketching that. I'm not going to give you the guidelines this time. I'll flash them up for one more time. Here we go. And then I'm going to delete them. You can have a quick look. Now I'm going to delete them. And I want you to have a go yourself. I'm just going to set the boys up with drawing. What I might do is print this out so they can... Okay, guys. So, how angled do you want this? You can make this slightly less if you want. Do you want it like that? Or do you want to draw flat on the table? Like that? Okay. So, you can use this. This is my very expensive art paper. So you can use this. And then, do you want to draw the ice cream in? Or do you want to... Oh, you need a chair. Okay, and then I've got erasers for you. I've got an electronic pencil sharpener if you need it, and then you're also going to need some fine brand new fine liner. So Dean will teach you about inking. It's a brand new fine liner there. Yeah. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that screen around so you can see what I'm teaching the online class, okay? We have 5 people in the class. So the boys say hello, everybody.
Hello.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my screen.
Hello, happy summer.
I'm going to turn my screen around, Peter. You might want to face the other way, actually, so you can see my screen. And then I'm going to mirror what they can see. So do you want to sit here? And you can see my screen. There you go. So I'm just going to make sure this is mirroring what. So I'm just going to mirror my screen so the boys can see what you're saying. So I won't be a second. I just got to do a tiny bit of technical stuff here. Okay, I'm just gonna check like boys can see what you're seeing. Okay, can you see that okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna draw this ice cream, but I'm gonna show you how to draw it with guidelines. Yeah. You're not drawing that, but Peter wants to draw it, don't you? Yeah, okay. So I'm just gonna focus this. Okay. So I'm going to bring in the guidelines now so that you can see. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw our guidelines. So so Peter, you're going to need a ruler and a pencil. I'll give you the ruler. You can have one of my. Okay. So there's a ruler. That's a brand new ruler as well. So we're going to put in our guidelines. So we're going to start with, we're going to draw our guidelines. So our guidelines are not parallel. They're actually going to merge way up here off in the distance. So this is a slightly different angle. So we're going to take this line and then we're going to slightly tilt it. So eventually, if these were to carry on, they'd come to a point here. Eventually, they'd come to a point, but these aren't going to come to a point. These are my guidelines. I'm going to put in some vertical guidelines. Let's put in a vertical guidelines here. Technically, these guidelines would also be eventually going into a trapezoid, but we're not going to worry about that so far. So we just got to make sure that these two lines are getting closer together as they get further away. Okay, so this is a rectangle-ish at the moment, and we're going to turn this rectangle into a 3-dimensional object by turning it into a cuboid. So a cuboid is a cube but longer. You've done this in school anyway. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to.
I think at school they probably call it a rectangular prism.
Oh, do you? Oh.
Rectangular prism.
Good job. Good job. We've got some teachers in the room.
Retired.
Retired teachers in the room. Okay. So now I'm going to put in these lines. Okay, it's starting to take shape. And then again, these two lines eventually would merge together up here. These two lines. Oh, you want me to? I can do this. Okay. So eventually these two lines would come together. So there's another vanishing point there. So instead of these being parallel, I'm going to slightly twist this one. So that way, this side is wider than this side because it's further away. Okay. So interestingly, the center of our stick is actually not equal to either side. It's slightly shifted to the right because there's foreshortening here. So that's an interesting thing to think about. The distance between here and here will be longer than the distance between here and here. So instead of this being equal, it's going to be more kind of over here rather than exactly in the middle, just slightly. Now this is actually a cylinder. So we put a little circle in here and then another circle. I'm going to just measure this line. You can't see? Oh, I gotta move the people out of the way. Hold on. Okay. How's that? Is that better? Okay. So this is actually a cylinder. So imagine that's a circle, and then this is a circle. But we're gonna turn it into a cylinder. So a cylinder is like, if you think like a Coke can, but like a really short Coke can. But we don't need to show this part. So it's a cylinder with the top part is not revealed. And also we wouldn't see this part because that part is also hidden. So it becomes stick. Now even the ridges through the middle are not going to be equal distance because this side is further away. So again, we've got this thing called foreshortening when something that's further away appears to be shorter and thinner and further away that way. So these two lines won't be exactly in the middle. This one will be there, and then this one will be closer to the edge. So it's a bit like that street scene that we did, where this is the corner of the building, this is the street going this way, and this is the street going this way. So I'm going to round off my edges. Because it's an ice cream, it's going to be, you know. And then if you want to put frosting on the top, we could put the frosting on the top, which is also another cylinder. So if you imagine this is a cylinder. So we draw the cylinder first, do the edges, but then we're going to erase the parts that we don't need. And I'm going to put in my shading. So the next thing I'm going to ask you is, where is the light source? Where do you think the light source is on?
I think it's the top right, because at the topping, you can't see much.
Yeah,
Of
there's
the
lots of
ice
there's
cream.
lots of light on the topping, yeah.
Yeah,
But this side's in shadow. So the
Right.
light would be coming this way, exactly. So it means this side is in shadow. So it's just like a cube. This side's in slight shadow. Less shadow. So just like a cube that we would, if we were to draw a cube, and the light on the cube is hitting here, this side would be in full shadow of our cube. This side would be in less shadow, and this side would be in full light. So it's exactly like a cube. And the same way on our cylinder, of our stick, we'd have a shadow on this part of our stick that would kind of wrap around.
Make my stick a little bigger.
And then this side would have less shadow because this side is has a little bit of the light shining on it. And we're not going to worry about cast shadow on the surface for now. We're just going to think about the object. If you want to put the like speckles and the frosting and stuff on, you can do.
And don't know how you made the top of the ice cream 3D or 2D.
Okay. So just like the stick where we did a cuboid and then added 2 cylinders on the end, it's the same thing. We've got our cuboid here and I turned this into, so if you imagine we've got a slice through cylinder, that would be like that, but we're adding it on to, so a little bit like when we do color mixing, we make up little recipe cards. We could put, you know, cylinder plus cube equals the lolly ice, you know, that's our recipe. So with the stick, it's cuboid plus 2 cylinders equals the stick. So it's a bit like ingredients to build this up. So if this is the top part of the cylinder, not quite on the angle right here. So it was like rushing it. Okay, so this is the this part of the cylinder, and then I've added it onto the cuboid. So it's like that. Is that clearer? And because this is like a dollop of ice cream on the top, it'd be kind of, this part would be a little bit more like wiggly. Does that make
Oh,
sense?
I see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make this line sharper so you can see. That's our little ice cream. And we'll see if anybody wants to share in a minute. And I do want to leave lots of time for the bookshelf because that's going to be our most technical piece, because the bookshelf is hollow. So we're going to be drawing a hollow cuboid where we're going to see the interior as well as the exterior. So does anybody want to share?
I'll share.
Yeah,
I can.
okay. I'm going to just increase just so I can see you a little bit larger. Yeah. Oh, very nice. Good job, Trina. I'm going to spotlight you for a second.
Oh, nice.
Oh, lovely. Good job. Excellent. Good job.
Yeah. I'm most proud of this because I had a problem with it until you kind of
Yeah.
explained it more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anybody
no,
else want to share? Oh,
uh, those I didn't work on those very well. I just worked on the top one, but yeah, because that looks crazy. But now I know how to make that one look
yeah.
like.
Your toast looks great. Okay,
Oh,
let's
thanks.
see. Let's see, Jane. Oh, very nice. Yeah, that's really good, Jane. Good job.
It's dripping.
It's dripping. Yeah, it's dripping. It's got ice melting down it. Yeah. Anybody else want to share? Let's see. Chris. Let's see. Very
Oh,
nice. Yes, you've got a dripping ice cream as well. I love it. Yeah. Yeah. Just remember that there's a vanishing point at the top as well.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Let's see. Sandra. Oh, very nice, Sandra. Good job. Good job. That's excellent. Good job. And let's see, does Peter want to share as well? Do you want? Not yet. No, not yet. Okay. So the next thing I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna move everybody down a little bit. Because I'm doing this on one screen so Peter can use the screen. So I don't have my big screen. Right. So the next thing I'm gonna do is show you the bookshelf. So I'm going to take off some layers.
oh boy.
So this is our bookshelf. So what I'm going to do is play you a little video of how I constructed the bookshelf. So I'll play that again. Yeah. Challenging. Can you see all of the vanishing points I put in there? So I'm going to start with just the vanishing points. Lots and lots of guidelines. So one thing to bear in mind is this is essentially just a cuboid, but we've got the interior that we need to show as well. So we need to imagine this as a transparent cube. So I'm gonna get a new page. So if you imagine that if we were to draw a cube, I'll just do this for demonstration purposes. So our normal.
Can you pull your drawing up just a little bit?
Yeah, I do apologize. Okay, I'm gonna do it here instead. Okay.
Yeah.
So imagine a cube. Okay. I'm not gonna do the vanishing points just yet. So imagine this is a cube. So our normal cube, we would do the sides like this. Okay. That's a solid cube, but this cube is, we can see the other side of it. So we would mirror these parts so we could see inside, right? So we can see this part's solid. And then we're going to be putting in our vanishing points. But the angles are different because we've got, so a normal cube would be, you know, kind of like that. But this cube is we've got the vanishing points to consider as well. So then we've got to consider the vanishing points inside the cube. So this is why it makes it more complicated. But we're gonna do this together, and we're gonna do it step by step. So nobody is gonna be left behind. I'm gonna start on a new sheet of paper. Actually. Okay. So Peter, you ready? Okay. You can always finish your ice cream in a little bit. Can everybody see my paper okay?
Yes.
A little bit pushed for space here, so. Okay, right. So I'm gonna start by doing my guidelines in red for you. Okay. So essentially we've got a vanishing point here, and we can actually see the vanishing point, the convergent point here. The middle of our shelf is going to be our horizontal line. So let's draw a horizontal line across our paper. So that's kind of like the middle shelf, like this part here. Because we're looking almost like we're stood, and the middle shelf is like eye level. And then we're looking up to the top of the bookcase and down below. So our eye level is kind of here. So this is kind of our convergent point right here. So we can actually put in a few guidelines for that convergence point. We've also got slight convergence at the top, but we don't need to worry about that. You okay? Look at, okay, Peter's ready to share. Didn't he do amazing?
Awesome.
Peter, that is spot on. That was definitely worth spending some time on. Good job.
Okay.
Fabulous. Okay, are you ready to have a go at the bookshelf? Or are you just going to free draw? Sorry?
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to ink it up. Okay, he's just going to focus on his ice cream because this one is quite difficult. Okay, so ideally, there would be a slight convergence at the top, but we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to do our horizontal line. So I'm going to do it kind of here. Yeah, about there. So bear in mind, everything coming out from here is going to get wider. So let's do a few just random guidelines like this. Let's go. Kind of like that, just to give ourselves a few guidelines. We've also got a vanishing point over here, but it's going to be like way off the page, like way off here. So we've also got lines eventually going to this point, but it's going to be, as I say, way off the page. So let's do some guidelines going this way. So this is where it gets slightly more complicated, but let's remember the street scene we did. It's still very similar. So essentially, we have a horizontal line with a start point and end point, and everything's either going this way or it's going to go this way. Okay, just for, I'm going to use the darker pencil. I start drawing. Okay, so I'm going to put in my cuboid. Can you see my bookshelf magically appearing? Here's this is the front part of my bookshelf. This is the side part of my bookshelf. And I'm using this vanishing point right here. So these lines are vertical. It's just these ones. So everything goes to that vanishing point. Everything. But we've also got the interior of the bookshelf. So again, they go to that vanishing point. I'm going to put in another guideline. Peter's ice cream looked great, I thought. Good job, Peter. And then base, the interior base again. If you guys want a drink, you can go get yourself there's orange juice and mango juice in the fridge, guys. There's a big carton of fresh orange juice or fresh mango juice if you want. Yep, you can have the soda. Yep. Okay, I'm going to put in the shelves. So my middle shelf. Again, I meant imagine where the convergence is. It's just having your guidelines in. Once you've got your guidelines in. So that's the base of my bookshelf. But this is how you get something looking real, is to make sure you got the vanishing points. So I'm going to show you a simplified, completed drawing of this. Let's take all of these layers
Probably
off.
should have checked in with the guidelines, because I guess I didn't get mine correct.
That's okay. So I'm going to put in guidelines. I'm gonna, again, think about where do you think the light source is in this picture? I'm gonna take the guidelines off for a second so you can see it. Where do you think the light source is? This one's quite an obvious one, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right. Yeah, Peter said on the
Behind.
right. Yeah, absolutely. Bottom right. Because it's slightly less bright at the top. So Peter's exactly right. The light source is here. So this is probably a window here. And the light source is here. Yeah. It's going this way. So that kind of helps us with our shading. So I'm going to get a soft pencil. And
Try this one.
do you want to do a piece of toast or the bookshelf?
Piece of toast.
Piece of toast. Okay, so the piece of toast one. Sorry guys, wait a second. I'm gonna rip this out for you. Is this one? Okay, so I'm gonna rip this out and then just give me back. I'll put it back in the
So
book.
where's the damage one?
Yeah, do you see the, so do the guidelines first, but do them in pencil so you can erase them. I just did them in red so you could see it. Okay. Okay, so don't forget there is actually an edge to the wood part. So I'm going to make sure I put in that edge. And this edge extends up. There's also an edge on this part as well. I'm kind of exaggerating the width of it, but Okay, we've also got front of our shelves. So this is kind of shadow because this is behind. You may end up not putting anything on your shelves at this rate. You can put things on your shelves later. Makes you have a new appreciation of architects. Okay, so you see how I'm putting the edge of the shelf in here.
We should try and get it.
Okay, so the this is still the front of my shelf. I'm going to keep fairly light, and then this is the underside. And then you're going to see a little bit of the underside of the shelf. We haven't even put any books on it yet. Is this making sense, everybody? How we're constructing this? This makes sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink this just to make it stand out a little bit more. Okay, we've got about 7 minutes left, so I'll maybe we'll do a little show and share again in a minute. So for homework, I'd like you to try and draw a soda can from different angles. So I'm just going to refer back to the notes from when we did shapes from different angles. And then I'm going to take these boys to African Line Safari.
Woohoo!
Yeah, exciting.
Love it.
So I'm just going to refer back to the shapes that we did from different angles. And fine. So remember this page?
Yeah.
So what I would like you to do is do a soda can so we can see the top. And then just do it from straight on as well, because obviously we wouldn't, unless you've got it's sat on a glass shelf. I guess you could pretend you're holding it and you could see underneath it, but do it from the top. Now the nice thing about doing a cylinder is you know, the shape isn't going to change when you look at it from either the right or the left, but the shadows will change. But have a look at doing it just face on and then from the top of it, you know, do it from different angles. The other thing I'd like you to do is add some objects to your shelf. So you will have this image in your notes that I'm going to send now. You know, you can easily zoom in and look at things, but I would like you to add some objects to your shelf. I mean, if you want to make it really easy, the Rubik's Cube is a cube, so that's kind of easy, but maybe just 1 or 2 books just to challenge yourselves. So I'm going to put a video in of these guidelines. So I'm going to add in an image or a video of these guidelines so you can see the shapes. And it's up to you whether this shelf is up against a wall or if it has a solid back. You can easily do a solid. If you did a solid back, you'd make, you know, this darker if you wanted to, but you could just leave it like this. Any questions on the bookshelf?
I only ended up with 3 shelves.
That's okay. Yeah, that's fine.
I think it was a little challenging to know about exactly what angle to put those lines on. So I don't feel like mine looks as 3D as yours.
So
I didn't quite get the lines right.
This vanishing point, you can see it's still on the page. And this is the horizontal line. So the horizontal line's in where our eye is. So my eye level, if I'm stood looking at the shelf, my eye level is here. So that's where your horizontal line is. The other end of this is way off the page. So if I was to take this and look at where they merge, it's about here where the
those were the lines I had trouble with for the
Yeah.
vanishing point that was off the page. I didn't really have a good visual of that.
Yeah, it's tricky when it's off the page. The other thing is if we were looking, if we were sat on the floor looking up at this bookshelf, we'd also have a vanishing point at the top where these lines would converge.
Right.
Because we're looking more straight at it, then the angle of these is so slight, I'm not even going to worry about it. But if you were to draw something like the Eiffel Tower, because you'd be looking up, unless you were looking at the Eiffel Tower from another building of equal height, then you would have a vanishing point at the top as well. Or a tower block, you know, a block of flats or a high-rise building, if you're looking out from the bottom, then you would have that vanishing point going that way as well as having a horizontal. Okay, so I promise that next week we won't be doing man-made objects. We will be doing a bird and an insect. And then we're going to be doing negative space shapes in the 3rd week, and then in the 4th week we're going to be doing flowers. Unless we get really carried away with the negative space shapes and you want to do more of that. That one is going to be really fun. I'm really looking forward to doing that one with you.
Nice.
So I'm just gonna switch. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna switch cameras. No, I'm still pressing the wrong button. Okay, so I've worked you hard today. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you've learned something new. I hope it's given you a little bit more confidence with drawing objects. The one picture I did want to show you, I'm just seeing if I can see it. Right, it's right behind me. I'm going to take this off the wall. This is something that you can think about. These still all have vanishing points the same way that we talked about with the bookshelf. These can still be achieved by stacking shapes.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that next time you want to do a still life, you can break it down into shapes rather than just thinking, how am I going to draw that? You know, you'll know how to. So quickly look at the coffee pot. How would you draw the coffee pot, for instance? What shapes do you think can you see that you would stack on top of each other to do the coffee pot?
There's cylinder, circle, like
Yeah.
a sphere, oval.
Yeah.
Slots, cylinder. But yeah, they're all just different angles.
Yeah.
The spout is on an angle, like it's because it's curved somewhat.
Yeah.
But that's cool.
But if you think about the main part of the coffee pot is just
Yeah.
a cylinder, you know,
Yeah.
with spheres. Obviously this is a cuboid with a sphere on the top. The cup is a cylinder, basically, and then another cylinder for the saucer. So if you start breaking things into shapes, it's not as overwhelming. This one took me absolutely ages. Like, I don't know how many weeks I spent on this. Because this was my realism course. And it was annoying because the light kept changing all the time as well. So trying to get the coffee pot like really shiny, and yeah, it was like I did 2 paintings like this and then I never did this style ever again because I was like, oh, it's not a lot of fun. But it's interesting to understand the process of how you get there. So, okay, I will send the video, I will send the notes, and I will send the screenshots. So I'm going to add in everything. So you'll get that hopefully later on today. I do have to take these boys to African Lion Safari now. So over the weekend, I'll get all of this sent to you. And don't forget the homework. So homework, put some objects on the bookshelf, have a go at the door and soda can. Same Zoom will be for all 4 weeks, and I will see you next Friday.
Great.
Okay?
Thank you.
Bye. If there's anybody else that wants to, if you know anybody else who wants to join the course, please let them know. I can give them the video and they can catch up. So if you have any other friends who want to do the course, that'd be great. All right. Thank you so much. Take care. Have fun. Okay. Bye.
All right.
I know somewhere up ahead your path meets with mine, and I will know when the moment